Hey guys, we have a bigger cast this week. So I'd like to introduce Emran and Bobby. They're a couple of friends of mine, and they're joining on this podcast today because we have an interesting topic. And what is that doing?
Sorry, I just replied to my cousin first, but yeah, I was going to talk about the horror games I'm doing because I'm going to actually be streaming the Silent Hill 2 and 3. Yeah, to this stuff here. Okay, busy. Sorry, we'll
That's
reply
okay.
later. Sorry.
No, that's
my
okay.
So look, I'll just tell you quickly. My cousin's insisting that the lockdown was a mistake and the let it rip strategy was good. And I'm like, are you serious? Did you forget what happened in January? And it was like, oh my gosh. Anyway, I just say admit I'm wrong right now. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, anyway, let's go talk about the silent. Just edit this part before I set out, please. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll do.
Anyway, like horror games was something I played since I was let's see, 12 with Resident Evil. And well, Resident Evil doesn't look scary now with PlayStation 1 graphics. By the time you were like really scared, and I just like the fact of horror, like survival horror, like you try to make do with less, and adrenaline rush to just survival when you're like about to die and stuff. Because in regular games you have that fear, but with horror, like the jump scares and zombies going up at you, the thrill of survival is pretty tough right now.
How many Silent Hill games have there been? What, up to 7?
Okay, look. Well, okay. That's the original one on PlayStation 1, Silent Hill 2 and 3 made by the original team, and Silent Hill 4, which is supposed to be a spin-off, but it's called The Room. Nothing got to do with the movie. And then it was Silent Hill.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh.
Hi, Mark. And Silent Hill Origins, the prequel that was made for PSP, and Silent Hill Homecoming, and Silent Hill Downpour, which was terrible that no one ever liked, and that caused the franchise to die. They also made Silent Hill Shattered Memories, the reimagining of the first game where it's completely different but similar characters. So I think that's 8 games. Yeah. Resident Evil has more than 20 games in contrast.
Oh.
Geez. I thought there was 8 because there was last one was Village, but I guess there was
spin-offs and remakes.
Oh, I see. 20.
Yeah.
Man, I guess it just keeps on going. People like it, I guess. So
yeah. Well, I said there's a lot of thrill for that. Okay, so yeah. Silent Hill 2. I'm more a Resident Evil fan, but I said I'm going back to the Silent Hill because I said streaming because I bought the HD collection, and because I actually don't remember much. I fished 1, 2, and 3, but I didn't fish it like 1 or 2 times, so I actually forget. So this will be fairly fresh for me. And like there's a lot of hidden themes in Silent Hill. Like this. Okay, I was gonna ask anyone else here play Silent Hill at all?
I played it the original years ago.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And I saw the film, the first one. That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing but the sequels kept you guys in.
Yeah. Okay, well,
No.
because like you get a PlayStation 2 or something, or did you have PlayStation 2?
Had a PS1 and PS2.
Oh. Well, Silent Hill 2 was considered like the one that everyone likes. I personally like number 3 as my favorite. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. The Silent Hill 1, like we can talk about that since you all played it, because I feel like that's one. Do you have any memories of Silent Hill 1?
Not particularly. I mean, I never got into horror games. I was more of a horror movie fan, but I played the first one and I liked it at the time. Playing it again more recently, I went, wow, this is not aged well. Like
the graphics haven't aged well.
Yeah, I mean, like
and the voice acting is now bad.
Period. I think out of all the consoles from the 3D period, the PS1's aged the worst. The one that surprised me is the Saturn. Actually, that one has aged better, at least as far as the 2D games is concerned.
Yeah.
But as far as Silent Hill goes, what I liked about it was the story and the atmosphere that it had. I always liked that. And I saw the movie, of course, and I thought that was pretty good until the ending, which I thought got a little confusing. But I think they captured the vibe of the game quite well in that first one. You know, that kind of isolation and the misty town was pretty well done.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So the plot was okay because the movie in different spot. Basically, it's always about the dad. Like they crash. They see like a lot of hidden themes, and then basically he's looking for his daughter for the entire game.
Right.
And yeah, like yeah, and he's a cop and stuff. And we don't know what happened to the town. And do you remember the film? There's somewhat, you know.
They swapped it a little bit. I mean, the film
Yeah.
is the mother this time. The father is like in a separate role doing investigation, but he's kind of in the background. Sean Bean, I remember, played the dad.
Yeah.
And,
In the oh wait, this is the one role where Sean Bean doesn't die.
I think so. I don't remember him dying. Spoiler for people who haven't seen the movie.
In all
The
things a
first
horror movie, who'd
anyway.
have thought?
I haven't seen the second movie because apparently it was so bad. Everyone told you not to watch it.
Yeah, I didn't want to see it. You know what's strange is the guy who made Silent Hill, the director, I think, was Christoph Gans. And he done, I think, Brotherhood of the Wolf with Mark Dacascos and Crying Freeman, also with Mark Dacascos too. One was an adaptation of a manga and the other one's a standalone movie. And this one, Silent Hill, he's a very stylish and talented director. And I think he did the second one. I'm not sure. Let me check. But I heard 2 wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Christoph.
It was really bad. But the first one, like, it was made by a fan of Silent Hill. He actually, he or she, I forgot what it was the gender, the name as well, but was really passionate. He actually begged Kalami to do it because he or she wanted to make a really beautiful adaptation.
He did.
Yeah.
It's a he. It was Christoph Gans. He done Silent Hill #1. I don't think he did the second one though, unless I could be wrong. Hang on. Director. No, he just done the first one, but there's an untitled Silent Hill movie in production right now. So he might be making the next one, but he's directing it again. So the second one probably wasn't as good because he didn't do it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah.
But I have yet to see it, so I haven't made a judgment yet. I always see it even if it's bad, and then I make a judgment. But I like the first one enough. I might check it out.
Yeah. Okay. But so the first game is, but yeah, every monster is usually a hidden metaphor for something in the game. So in the first film, basically, well, it changed a bit because it was actually the mother was sacrificing the daughter, but in the game it was the villagers and stuff thinking that she was a witch. But in the thing, it was actually a ritual to try to summon God. The mother was trying to sacrifice the daughter. And basically the daughter did not want to do this. And they were trying to make her miserable as possible so that the more bitterness that she would feel, the more powerful the sacrifice will be. But she wrecked it. Like, okay, you based on Silent Hill Origins, the prequel, it turns out the trucker else to save it. But in the main game, the first one, she basically split herself into 2. The one with the happy side as a baby, and one with just pure darkness of pain and stuff. And the baby that became the happiness ended up with the dad. So they're basically his adopted daughter. And instead of, the little girl is actually full of happiness and stuff, raised by a happy couple. And the adopted mother eventually died of cancer, but basically the mother summoned a spell to draw the daughter to want to go to Silent Hill. And yeah, I'm not sure how much is magic or not, but basically that's the thing. And you're trying to rescue that. And the game actually has 4 endings. The very bad ending, the bad ending, and the good ending, and the good plus ending. And basically the good ending is the canon one, because the good plus ending, the cop is still alive. You saved the cop as well. So in the movie, the cop dies as well. So I guess it's also based in the game. And yeah, that's the first game. And also, oh wait, there's a 5th ending called the UFO ending. Do you remember that?
No.
It's a joke ending. So basically aliens come and adopt your character. You basically say, hey, to the aliens, have you seen my daughter? They just shoot him and then abduct him to upstairs in an old horror aliens thing. So you have to actually finish the game 2 to 3 times just and get the right items to get that secret ending.
Hmm.
Yeah. Every Silent Hill game, except for the fourth one, which was a spin-off, had a joke ending that just made it hilarious. But even then, there's some hidden themes between that.
Okay.
Just yeah, so the first one was so like it has aged badly. That's why they made the Wii reimagining, but the plot was completely different. So it's not really canon, but still a good game.
It would be great to see, like, there was a remake of it done, you mentioned, for the Wii, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, they probably wouldn't be a bad idea to redo it now, like a complete revamp of it. That would be something I'd like to play because
Well, you know what happened to
enjoyed-
Kalami, right? Like that's why it's a bit tough.
kind of like what they did with Yakuza. That would be great. You know, give it that treatment.
Kalami might be coming back, but you know what happened after Metal Gear Solid 5, right? With Kalami, right?
No, I didn't, because I didn't
Ah,
play.
you-
I didn't play Metal Gear Solid
Oh,
5.
but I was in the media about the use. Basically, Kojima left Kalami because he was supposed to make the use.
Oh, yeah, I know he left
Hills.
Konami. Yes.
Kalami actually focused on making those Pinocchio machines instead.
Yeah, yeah. I remember.
That's
And he
unfortunate.
left to make Death Stranding.
Yes, and that's
Yeah.
so basically Kalami hasn't been making games, but they said they'll get back into doing it last year to start doing it, but it's all in the rumor
Konami
section.
is a far cry from what they were, you know, years ago. I think for me, like when I think of Konami, I think of all the stuff they done in the late 80s up till probably the early 2000s was the peak of what they were doing.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of, I don't know what it is, you know, right now. Even Capcom, I think, kind of lost it a bit, but they're slowly trying to come back.
They've been back
They-
after
they-
Street Fighter 5.
They're
Okay?
they're slowly
were
getting
actually-
back with not just with
Street
Street
Fighter
Fighter 6, Street Fighter 6, and also the Capcom fighting games that we haven't seen like in years, like in the 90s,
Yeah,
Like-
yeah.
like with Darkstalkers.
Yes, I heard about that one. That'd be something. Well, I'm glad they're back on the horse, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because Street Fighter 5, as competent as it was, felt it was incomplete. We all know it. You know, when it was first released.
Did you play season 5 up to season 5? That's when it felt. I actually bought it during season 4, so that's why I didn't have to. Yeah. But now it has over 40 characters now. Street Fighter
Yeah.
5.
It's not enough. Like I would have liked it if they kept going and like get all the characters we haven't seen in ages, and
Mhm.
all the
And I'm happy
all
with
the old
Dan. Okay, as long as you have Dan. Dan's the man.
Dan's the man, but he's not the best.
He is the man in his own mind. That's what I believe.
Pretty much.
You hear the
Yeah.
expression "a legend in
Like-
their own mind."
Like he may have beaten Sagat in the story, but that's because Sagat let him win.
Wow, you guys know the law. I'm really proud of you guys.
I guess he
Super
didn't
Alpha.
see that, did he?
But that was the eye was actually Dan's dad that made him lose the eye, and that's why
Yeah.
Sagat killed his dad, and then Dan wanted to get revenge.
I'm surprised
Yeah.
Sagat doesn't do that line, actually. I guess you didn't see that, did you?
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
that would have been hilarious.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. 22nd of February, 2 days ago. That was a Tuesday.
For me, that was the most single important day of your life, but for you. But for me, it was Tuesday.
Oh, I miss that actor. He did that role for his son.
He did. Raul Julia, may he rest in peace.
Mm.
I didn't realize he was the same guy as the Adams Family called Maz. He looked
Yeah,
Yes,
different
he
enough.
the
was.
actor, he was in tons of stuff. I'd seen him in a couple of movies with. Before that, I saw him in a movie with Mel Gibson called Tequila Sunrise. He was good in that. And he was even in a movie with Clint Eastwood and Charlie Sheen called The Rookie, where he played the villain, and he was the best thing about it. So, yeah, charismatic actor, Raul Julia.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well. I mean,
Yeah.
so you guys have seen. Let's see. We're still on Street Fighter. This is Street Fighter. We're still on.
Yeah. Yeah. With that.
I mean,
But what about Resident Evil then? I'm just curious, do you know about Resident Evil? That's also a horror game, so we're semi on topic. And we are talking about Capcom. What do you
That's
guys think about Resident Evil?
I've been seeing I've seen some of the plays for Village. Is that
Yeah.
that for number 8? So they had
Yeah.
some very interesting ideas on that one. But I don't know. Maybe it's because I haven't played I don't play really scary movies, but a lot of them do they just rely on jump scares in the same way that they do with horror movies to actually do create that atmosphere and stuff. Because honestly, when it comes to scary, I don't know. It was I guess I was more there for the interest for the character designs, because it had like really nice vintage things for the lady. Everyone's there for the 9-foot lady. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yes,
Dimitrescu.
Yeah.
They were
That's
there.
the main. Most people, play that's the beginning of the game. People want her to be the main villain for the entire game, but
But she wasn't. Everybody got disappointed because she was like the first boss.
Look, you show a trailer and you just show the entire game. That's the best part. Then it's always gonna be the end of the game. Like a spoiling type thing. But yeah, the baby part in the chapter 2 was scary. Like, you guys know about
that
the
was just
baby?
creepy. Yeah, I've seen gameplay about that.
Yep. Yeah, I
And I'm
actually
like,
finished the Heist of Woody without New Game Plus. That drove me insane. I played obsessively.
Nice.
And yeah, I probably should upload my replay, but it was actually hours long trying to edit it in. Some bosses that used I finished with U Game Plus, it was still hard, but yeah, without U Game Plus, it was like almost impossible. And like the fish boss almost drove me insane.
I remember. I've seen gameplay with that too. So it's like, yeah.
Any of you guys play Village? Sorry, I feel like it's just me to Reese talking about. You know anything about Village?
I've been seeing clips of it, and that's about it.
It's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
No, I guess for me, the horror games that I think actually work are much more those indie games where it's like you're trying to survive. Like this game was speed and technique. I don't know. Let me know if I'm not making sense, but there have been some of the games I've found where you're trying to basically like, for example, you're in a train station and you're the only one there, and it's late at night, and you're trying to escape a serial killer, and like you're being chased.
Yeah.
Does that ring a bell?
Yes, there's a couple of games like that, so you have to be more specific. But yeah, there's some games where
I guess
you're actually trying to escape.
That's true. So I don't know whether or not they may or may not come into the realm of horror, but I guess
there was one I remember for the PS1 called Clock Tower, which was influenced by Dario Argento's horror movies and things like that. And it was a good one. It's a cult favorite. Not many people played it, but I remember it vaguely, and I always thought that's an eerie type of game. One survival horror film game that predates Resident Evil and Silent Hill that I really liked was called D. It was on the Sega Saturn.
Oh.
It was it's a very slow game, but it's so unnerving because it's like slow, yet there's this huge atmosphere to it. And it's one to look up. And I would say if there's one game I would like to see remade, it would be D. It's just the letter D. That's all it's called for the Sega Saturn. And it's a 2-disc game, so it came with 2 CDs.
That would be a big deal back in the day.
Yeah, I've got it still, and it still works. And
so what's the story? Or is there no story? You just...
Yeah, there's a story. It's a really good setup. I've never finished it. I've got it still. I'd love to try and play it again, even though it's slow as hell, but the atmosphere alone got me hooked. Basic plot from what I remember is that you play as this girl. Her father is like a very famous doctor who runs a hospital. All of a sudden, the hospital becomes a siege. The power goes out. People are trapped in there. Something's happening. You don't know what. The police are too scared to go in. They've cordoned the area off, but every time the police enter, they get killed. So the daughter comes out and she hears someone calling out to them, I think, from what I remember, something like that. I could be wrong. It's been so long since I've played it, but I remember it had something to do with that. Bottom line, she enters the building and goes to find her father and what's going on in the building. And when you get there, it's just bizarre. The inside of the hospital is not what it looks like from the outside. It's all of a sudden changed. You know, it looks like another dimension or something. And you're just going around trying to find keys to rooms to figure out clues. It's like one of those point and click adventure games, sort of, with cutscenes, 3D cutscenes. And you move in a 3D environment back and forth, scoping out things. So it was a very early kind of survival horror game with a lot of atmosphere. You know, it's an early 3D survival horror game, I guess. But that's one that...
Was it adventure based or like action based? Like you real time, or we had to do like...
I don't know what genre. I don't know what you'd call it. To me, it seemed like more adventure. The video game. Let me just look up the genre.
Because I remember Alone in the Dark was the first one to make it real time, then Resident Evil. So before then it was all like adventure games.
PS1 as well. It was on the PS1 as well, but it was also it was best known for the Saturn because it ran better on the Saturn.
Yeah, but the Saturn actually had better 2D technology, but the problem with the Saturn was that basically 2D graphics did not take much space, so it didn't actually use the CD. So for a game to take to this at all would have to be really, really advanced.
It was basically too difficult to program, but because what happened was the Saturn was set out to be a 2D machine from day one. It was going to be a souped up 2D machine with some pseudo 3D effects, kind of like 2.5D, you know? So the backgrounds might be 3D, but the foreground is 2D still. And we see that today with no trouble. But when they heard the PlayStation was going to be full 3D rendering, they just retooled it in a hurry and added a few processors. And the problem is a lot of programmers didn't know how to utilize it because the architecture was just so complicated.
Yeah.
And that's why when you play a lot of the 3D games for the Saturn, a lot of them do not hold up very well at all because of they look unstable. Every time I look at them, they look like they're going to...
Sega Saturn was the first Sega console without a Sonic game as well, like a proper Sonic game.
Yeah, we didn't have... There was going to be one, Sonic Extreme, but it got canned. I think the demo still exists, but
I
that's
think a Sonic CD, but was it portable game? I think was it Sonic?
Yeah, Sonic CD was on the Sega CD add-on for the Mega Drive.
Oh,
that's
okay.
the thing they should have actually put or ported to the Saturn. I think that would have been smarter. But you know, history's history.
Like I said, like Shenmue. Oh my gosh, for that to break even, every Dreamcast owner went to buy 2 copies just to break even. That was unrealistic.
I still remember the memes from that game. I've been watching on YouTube. I don't know if you're familiar, but the voice acting is hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the synopsis for D, that game I was talking about.
Yeah.
So Wikipedia, here's the summary. It takes place in 1997. It begins when Laura Harris is contacted by the Los Angeles police, receiving a disturbing message from her father, Dr. Richter Harris. The director of the Los Angeles National Hospital has gone on a mass murdering spree and barricaded himself in the hospital. Laura rushes to the scene of the crime, enters the hospital trying to figure out what's going on. Instead, when she gets in there, it's like the interior of a medieval castle all of a sudden. So it's weird. I'm not going to read any more because I'm just paraphrasing this. There's a lot to read. But yeah, it's a great story, a great atmosphere, but that's a game that could use a remake, I think. And it seems like it would make a good cinematic experience too, like a movie. So yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's on PS1 as well.
Okay.
So but they said the Saturn version was smoother for whatever reason. I think they made it for the Saturn first. So they paid more attention to it and they just ported it to the PS1 after that.
Yeah, funny enough, Resident Evil got was supposed to be ported to Sega Saturn at one point, right?
It was on the Saturn.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
And
Resident Evil 2
run a little better.
canceled. Oh, you know Resident Evil 2, they actually ported to the N64.
I remember that vaguely because I have Resident Evil 1 on Saturn.
Yeah.
And Resident Evil 2 I know was ported to the 64, but it also was on the Dreamcast, I think.
Yeah. But because this is a 2-disc game fitted to an 16 megabyte cartridge. That technical process was why it's more impressive. Like Sega Saturn, Dreamcast is better than the PlayStation 1. So pointing to that is not that of a miracle, obviously. But it's still probably a good port from what I read anyway. But Resident Evil 2, though, you played that one though? It's one of the best Resident Evils. That's why the remake was there. They put a lot of evidence to the remake for that.
I didn't play Resident Evil 2. It's funny, I only ever played out of all the survival horrors, I always seem to play the first one only. I played Silent Hill 1 and Resident Evil 1. That's it. For whatever reason, they just never hooked me. Like,
Did you play the remake of the first one?
Too. I was very young.
Did you play the remake of the first one, Resident Evil 1 remake?
No, I have not.
No one has? Bobby?
No, not even.
Okay. Oh, because that's an example of a good remake done really well from graphics wise, like from PlayStation 1 to GameCube. It showed the big jump from that. Like, so do you guys see screenshots of that from the PlayStation 1 to GameCube?
Do you want me to share screen?
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah. This is from GameCube as well. So this is like just one generation.
Later.
Yeah, that's why I was impressed. Yeah, because Resident Evil 2 remake is 4 generations because it definitely looks a lot better, obviously. Although I'm still impressed with Resident Evil 2 remake. But yeah, they actually changed a lot in the Resident Evil 1 remake in terms of horror. Like they actually let you save Richard for a bit and he dies later instead of from the poison, snake poison. Remember that? And yeah, they changed the berry scene. You know the meme of the Jill sandwich? They still kept that line in for all sex, but they actually improved the dialogue for everything else. Because Barry kept making dad jokes in the original Resident Evil. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I might actually stream the original Resident Evil because I already streamed the remake, but I said like the thing is I think the original games are not fun to stream in terms of showing stuff because the horror is like really slow and then also, if you already know the game, you expect more enemies. That's the thing that didn't age well for Resident Evil. Like, I'm used to enemies coming a bit more thing, and then now it's like, no one's here. I'm just walking through. I guess the atmosphere was just reading the files. Itchy, tasty. You remember that? Oh.
It's
Don't forget the hilarious voice acting on that first game.
Yeah. Jill, run to the house! No, don't go! The cop just flies away.
Oh man, it's like they weren't even trying. Like it was like, wow, I got nothing when I heard that.
Do they have is there a Japanese dub? Is it better? Who knows?
I don't know if it is.
Yeah.
Wait,
English dubs are always a fun adventure. Depending on
either really good or they're just hilariously bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's very rarely any in between. It's just one or the other.
Sometimes. I think there was an anime adaptation of Golgo 13, the series. They've done a series of it. And they had only 4 voice actors for the entire show and they reused every single one of them. And sometimes you could tell it was so obvious. It was
voice acting on a budget.
Yeah, very. Like they tried changing their voices up, but it was like when they were trying to do other voices, it sounded horrible.
Oh no.
It was hilarious.
Well, at least someone trying to switch accents. If they did, that would have been a little.
Yeah, maybe accents or tones. It was just.
Oh no. At least they tried. Well, what can you do?
Yeah, it was a fairly low budget adaptation. It wasn't like the movies they did before that.
Anyway, so I was supposed to share the screen or was it Therese? But
yeah,
sorry. So this is the original on the left and the right is the sharks. See, look at this thing here.
Oh yeah.
Interesting. That's cool.
And the original zombie on the left and to the right.
Okay.
A huge difference, definitely.
Yeah. Boss fight. And this is a tyrant now, so you get to see it. And this is just 1, 2, 3 years.
Westgate gets bitch slapped.
Wow. What year? How many years difference from the remake to the original?
Okay, I should check that. But okay.
Yeah, the original came out in '98.
Wow,
So-
90s.
Remake.
Is that like
Listen.
Spyro the Dragon type time? Freaking hell, don't remember.
Yeah, it's like
that period.
1998. Oh, 4 years later. So 2002.
Okay.
So just 4 years later, we got this. Oh.
Gonna-
They were actually planning to make more, but the sad thing is the GameCube release did not sell that much.
Okay.
It And then Resident Evil 0 sold even less. They decided to actually focus to action, which led to Resident Evil 4 being action-packed.
Hmm.
So yeah, you're gonna blame Capcom saying they sold out, but yeah, it went selling. And not to mention, they actually admit they were getting tired of doing regular zombies by Resident Evil 0. They already made 5 games: Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, Code Veronica, then the remake in 0. Doing 6 games in the zombies for like those 5 years must have tired them out.
Hmm.
So that's why they did Resident Evil 4, which is like Village.
Nice.
A bit just like because actually villagers attacking. That's why we thought Resident Evil 8 was a hint to the Resident Evil 4 remake.
Hmm.
But yes, sorry, I don't want to talk too much.
No. Keep going.
But yeah, see, that's the Resident Evil 2 remake in 2019. And that was a long time coming because people wanted it a long time since the first remake, but since it didn't sell so badly, but then they eventually made it with the Resident Evil engine. Because Resident Evil 6 almost bankrupted Capcom. Did you guys know that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, yeah. Because the thing is, Resident Evil 4 and 5, they relied on Resident Evil being the money maker, so they can afford other projects that didn't do so well. But Resident Evil 6 sold less than number 5, and they spent more on number 6. Resident Evil 6 was actually made with 4 times the amount of Resident Evil 5. So you can see how much that costs. And it sold less than that. So they only end up having $20 million left in their bank account due to that. And that is why Street Fighter V was actually exclusive to PlayStation 5 and Sega. So Sony actually financed the money for Street Fighter V.
Wow.
And that's,
Street Fighter 5.
and that's because they were running low on money and they had to release it soon for the PlayStation 4. So that's why they did the system they did, because they actually had less money than before, and they were just hoping that they could make their money back and release characters slowly, which ended up not working. So that's why for a long
everyone said it was a bare game, like it didn't feel complete, and it wasn't.
It was until the arcade edition that came out before they started recovering. But then they started to actually take it slower, and with Resident Evil 7, it costs less. It was actually a low budget game, Resident Evil 7, and it actually sold a lot, like less than number 5 and 7, but it made more profit. So it made profit at 2 million. Resident Evil 6 sold 5 million or 5 to 6 million. They need like 8 million to break even. But yeah, Resident Evil 7 broke even around 2 million, which now it sold like 11 million in total. Number 6 actually gets ported over again and it reached 12 million, but that's like a lot of ports. Resident Evil 7 has not been ported to another console and it's still like selling really well. But then, because what actually saved Capcom, you guys know what saved Capcom overall though, right?
For the Street Fighter?
No? Monster Hunter. Monster
really?
Hunter is their best-selling series in total.
Okay.
Compared to every Street Fighter game, Monster Hunter 2 Monster Hunter games beats that. It also beats all the Resident Evil games. I'll just check. Let's check how much Monster Hunter is.
Oh wait, before you do that, it's just we've got like a minute and a half.
Oh,
so we
sorry.
can say that. So no, thanks guys.